Hi everyone, my name is Christoph from Pestler's product team, and in this second episode of our PRTG in your HomeLab series, we are going to take a look at the installation of PRTG Network Monitor inside of a virtual machine on Proxmox VE. For that, we will install Windows Server 2022 on Proxmox VE, followed by the installation of PRTG Network Monitor itself. If you remember my HomeLab topology, like seen on screen here, you will see that Proxmox is my central platform for hosting virtual machines and also LXC containers. So without further ado, let's start right there and go through the installation step by step. So the first thing that you want to do is to download your baseline operating system, and for that we will go to the Microsoft Evaluation Center and simply download an ISO of Windows Server 2022, and I will share this resource in the video description. So just go to the website and click download the ISO. After doing this, you will be presented with a registration form that you can fill out with all your personal details, and then simply hit the download now button at the bottom of the screen. For our installation, we want to use a technology called para-virtualization, which in short means that the virtual machines have direct access to certain devices and peripherals and do not use an emulation layer by the hypervisor. So to use this, we need so-called VirtIO drivers for our KVM for the hypervisor that Linux uses, and Proxmox provides us with a resource to download those drivers. I will share a link to this resource in the video description. So just go to the website and scroll a little bit down, and where it says installation using the ISO, you can simply click download the latest stable version, and you have the set of drivers needed for our installation. As a final step of preparation, you still need to upload the ISO images to the respective storage on your Proxmox installation. I store them locally, so I head to the local storage and then ISO images. As you can see, I already uploaded the ISO images here, but if you still need to do this, you can simply click upload, go and select the file you want to upload, and upload it to your ISO storage. Optionally, you can do an integrity check by providing a checksum and the used hash algorithm to make sure that your file wasn't corrupted or broken during transport. As an alternative, you can also download something directly from the internet by providing a download URL. And also for this message, an integrity check is optionally available. So with all of this out of the way, we can finally create our virtual machine by simply clicking the Create VM button. We'll give it an ID. I'll go for 501. And a name, I'll name it WinServe. Then we go to Next. And now we need to select the ISO image that we want to use for our installation from our local storage. I'll take the English version of Windows Server, provide the correct type of guest operating system, and also the correct version. As you can see, the correct version is already selected. And then we can add the additional VirtIO drivers here that we uploaded previously from our local storage. Next, for the system part, we will provide an EFI storage here. I'll also go for local. We select VirtIO for the SCSI controller, and we select the QEMU agent, which basically tells the machine that there are guest tools installed. We will come to that later, so that we have full control over the virtual machine. Select a TPM storage. I'll go local for this one too. Then we can select the size of our disk and some parameters if we want to do so. I'll go for a disk size of 64 gigabytes. I'll store them locally. And in my case, I have an SSD inside my server, as a disk, I'll go for the SSD emulation. Next, we need to provide some CPU resources. I'll go for 4 cores here. I leave the type of CPU as is and enable NUMA for the server. That's always a good idea. And for the memory, we'll go with 4 GB, but you can adjust it according to your needs. Same is true for the CPU. It's just a test installation in my case, but for you it might be that you need more resources on that part. Finally, for network, we want to make sure that we have the correct network settings set up here. In my case, I use the standard bridge of Proxmox, and I just check that for the model VirtIO is selected and not an emulation like these Intel E1000 that are very popular, but we want to make sure that we go with VirtIO here. Select next, and now we have a confirmation page where we can go through all of the settings that we previously made and check if everything is okay here. And if it's okay, we'll hit the finish button, and we can see that the machine is getting created here. In the log, you can see that the preparation is now done. So we have a status of okay. And the next step would be to finally start our new VM. So now that everything is set up, we can finally start our new virtual machine. For that, I will select the machine and go to the Start Now button. And now I get the option to press a key to enter into the normal installation procedure. And as you can see, this is the normal assisted installation that you know from several versions of Windows. So you can go with the defaults here or select anything according to your system and then simply hit next and install now. Now you can select the operating system that you want to install. I go with the standard evaluation variant, including a desktop. So I select the second option here and go for next. I accept the license terms, go for next. And then I select a custom installation because we need to provide the system with the VirtIO drivers that we previously uploaded and selected. So we'll go for loading the driver. We'll browse through the existing CD drives and we go to the VirtIO drivers that we provided. Go to VirtIO SCSI and select the Windows Server 2022 variant AMD 64. Click OK. And we'll see that he has selected the Red Hat VirtIO SCSI controller drivers. Click on Next. And now we see our disk, our 64 GB disk, and we have the option to set it up. And so we click on New, and he takes the whole space, which is fine in our case, and simply hit Apply. So Windows will come up with a suggestion how to create additional partitions for system files and so on. We just go for it and hit OK. And now we see the standard partitioning that you might know from Windows already. So we have two small partitions with 116 MB reserved for system things and our main partition. And that's perfectly fine. So we hit Next. And now the standard installation starts. And takes a couple of minutes, and then we should be good to go. So after a couple of minutes, our installation has finally come to an end, and an automated restart is done. Okay, now that our installation is finally finished, we'll provide the system with a password. And here we are, and finished our Windows Server 2022 installation. Okay, so after the restart is done, we can log on into our machine, and for that we need to send a Control-Alt-Delete, and we do this by hitting this menu and the respective button. Now we can enter our password and we are logged into our Windows server. So the first thing that we want to do is to finish the installation, and by that I mean we should make sure that we have all the necessary drivers installed on our system. So we go to the device manager and we'll find that there are still some components lacking driver support, and we'll quickly fix that. The first is the Ethernet driver. So we'll again go to our VirtIO CD-ROM and then go to NetKVM. Select our 2022 server, select next and let the system install the correct driver. So that's done. And for the other two, we can go a similar way. We just need to provide the disk, the CD-ROM as a whole. They should be able to find the drivers himself. That's worked well. Now for the last one. We'll go the same way. That's a serial driver. So with that out of the way, we should be fine in terms of driver installation. The next thing that I want to do is to install the VirtIO guest tools. You may know this from other virtualization platforms so that you have full control over the machine, and we'll do this by going to the CD-ROM with the VirtIO drivers and tools, and we simply click on VirtIO Win Guest Tools and agree to the license terms again and install all of these guest tools. That's successfully finished. We are ready for that. The next thing that I want to do is to set a correct host name. So I'll go for the system and rename this PC, and I name it the same way I named the virtual machine. I'll go for WinServe here. And now also to make sure that the guest tools work properly, I'll do a restart. Okay. I'll log into the machine again. So the next thing that I want to do is to install SNMP on this server so that we have the option to not only monitor it via WMI but also via SNMP. And for that, I'll go to the Manage tab of the Server Manager and select Add Roles and Features. Hit Next. And it's a role or feature-based installation, so I'll hit Next. The server is correct, so I'll go Next. And now for the features, I'll select the SNMP service and SNMP WMI provider. Hit next. Hit install. So now that the installation has finally succeeded, we can close this here, and then we need to configure the SNMP on this system. So I'll go to the computer management and to services, and then to the SNMP configuration on properties. Okay, here we can configure SNMP. We can see that the service is already running. Nothing too special here. What's important is you can enter a contact and a location here, which I won't do here, but you can do it for your installation. What's more important is that we select SNMP for all the services. If you want to configure traps, you can do it on this tab. I will skip this part here, but you know your installation. If you want to have a traps configured, then do it here. And now the important part for the security. I will accept SNMP packets from any host here. You can configure it for the host that you want to allow it for. I will go for anything here. And the last thing is that I want to set a community. In my case, I'll go with a standard of public. For read-only, I'll edit, apply it, and say OK. So the SNMP part should be configured right now. Okay. The last thing would be to update the server. I won't show it here because you know how to update a server, but don't skip this step. It's important to have the latest and greatest of all the updates on a Windows server. So that's basically the installation of the server itself. And in the next section, we will go and install PRTG on our system. For the sake of better visibility, I will also install remote desktop here. So I'll go for the system and then enable remote desktop. And for the next section, I will show you the setup of the remote desktop client, so we have a little bit better visibility for the part of PRTG installation. So that's it for the Windows server installation, and now we'll go on with the installation of PRTG. In the final segment of this video, we want to install PRTG Network Monitor on our new virtual machine, and as promised, I will use a remote desktop connection for this. So first of all, let's find out what IP address this system is currently using. And here we have it. It ends on a 155. So I can use this in my remote desktop utility. I've pre-configured a profile here and simply hit connect. Then I accept the certificate, and we should be good to go. Here we are. And now we'll start the process of installing PRTG. We'll open a browser. And head to pessler.com. And here we simply hit the trial button, which starts a download and will provide us with a license key for this trial. You can copy and paste it here, but it will be also part of our installer that we will find in the download section of our file system as soon as the download has finished. And then we can open it. Get rid of this page here and simply start the installer. I'll go with the English version. I'll accept the license agreement. So as soon as the initialization of the license is finished, we can enter an email address for notification purposes. I'll take one for testing purposes. And now we have to choose an installation method, and we have an express installation method that uses defaults and does an auto discovery on our network and goes with all the standards that we have pre-configured. And we have a custom option, that's the one we will use for today's installation, where we can manually select an installation in a data path and do certain custom configurations. I will go through it with you step by step. So the first thing is the location, where we can choose both the installation path for the program itself and a path for the data, a data path, in case you have a system where you have a different location for programs to be installed and data to be kept. Maybe you have an SSD as a main drive and traditional disk as a data store or something like this, then you should go for the custom installation and choose the locations of all this accordingly. The next thing is that we can choose if we want to run an auto discover on our network or if we don't want to do this. In our case, we will do the auto discovery, but if you have very large networks or other reasons to skip the auto discovery, you can do so when you run the custom installation. And as a last step for the auto discovery, it's a good idea to share the SNMP community string, at least for SNMP version 1 and 2C, so that PRTG can read on the devices that support SNMP, and you can provide your community string here. In the installation of this server, I went with public, so I'll stick with it here. And for demonstration purposes in my test lab, I also did, but you might have another community string and you can simply enter it here. And that's it, so we can log in. So, and here it is, our freshly installed PRTG. You will be presented with a smart setup here that you can follow along. I will skip this introduction part now, but you should definitely take a look at it if you are new to the system. If not, you may as well skip it. But this is the basic installation for PRTG. I now have auto discovery running, so you can see some things are already discovered. I'll wait a few minutes for everything to get green here and for the auto discovery to finish, so I can show you that everything is fine. I won't go through the process of installation in detail in this video. This is not part of the video, but if you are interested in getting additional info on that, just go to the lower part of the screen where you see Get More Help in the Help and Support Center. Click on this and you will find a whole lot of resources in our Help and Support Center, starting with the manual and quick access to our knowledge base, to a lot of video materials, and also to advanced topics, technical support, and if needed, our customer service. So we'll just go back to the devices page and you can see some things already get discovered. What's important now is that the probe device and everything that runs on it is fine. You can see our our Red Hat VirtIO Ethernet adapter. So you see that our para-virtualized network adapter and its driver work just fine. And that's an important part. And now I'll wait a few minutes for everything to come up, and then we'll see us again. Okay, after a couple of minutes, you can see that the auto discovery has pretty much done its job. So we've seen a lot of devices being discovered and a lot of sensors being deployed. Most importantly, on the prop device, everything is fine. Other than that, he found some things on the network, my core switch, for example, and my firewall, and a lot of other things, Linux hosts and routers and NAS and what have you. So we can consider the basic installation done. For more advanced setup guides for PRTG, check the documentation that I just provided. But for now, we are done, and I hope you've enjoyed the process. So that's it for today's video. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing. Please let me know in the comments if we need to explain anything in more detail and how you like the format in general. We will come up with some more videos about possible use cases in your HomeLab in the near future. And until then, keep monitoring.